after Liberation Day, Besant was on television many, many times with this kind of phrase that we hold all the cards, China holds maybe 2 cards, and that they will be forced to come to the table and agree with us because they just have to do it. And since then, we raised at that time, as you know, the tariffs on China to 145%. Then came along the Israeli-Iran war. And it was during that war that we announced as we were attacking America, when we attacked them that night, that we had come to an agreement with the Chinese and that, we told Israel this war is going to stop. Now, Israel didn't want to stop, but Trump had to call Netanyahu and tell him to stop. Now, what we found out was that there was an agreement that China was going to start up for 6 months rare earth mineral shipments to American companies that were not defense related, and they had no dual use with the commercial company that they were going to ship it to. And we've done videos showing you that, they asked all the questions, they weren't videos and all this other stuff, okay? So then, out of the blue, Huang announces that he's flying to China and that he's taking orders for the H20, which is their low-end chip. It's a high-end chip, but it's low-end for NVIDIA. Their high-ends are the H100s, okay? And they're called HBM. They have HBM in there, high bandwidth memory, embedded in the chip, okay? So we're going to refer to them as HBM chips. So now all of a sudden, and we heard Trump came out and said, hey, we're going to try to sign, I'm going to meet with Z, sign a grand bargain, okay? And I have stated in several videos that I believe the bargain will be that we get, let's say, unfettered shipments of rare earth minerals. And in exchange, the Chinese asked for several things. They asked that the C919 engine parts for Comac, their Boeing, they make the plane, but we have the engines, so we agreed to send them the C919 engine parts. They also asked for the H20s, and as you know, we approved that. And I think that Huang, I think it was $20 billion worth that he when he went over to China, took in all those orders. And then finally, they wanted all the tariffs taken off, including all the tariffs that Trump put on in his first term, okay? So that seemed to be the general agreement. Now, since then, there's been 3 meetings with Besant and his Chinese counterpart to try to come up with this grand bargain. And I just want to say we've done many things, many videos on this, but basically our defense industry production lines are almost shut down because we do not have enough rare earth minerals. It is what it is, all right? But now, there's pushback from the DoD, defense industry, and from companies and from Congress that we shouldn't be sending them the H20s, let alone anything else. So today, in the Financial Times, China has said they want the U.S. to relax export controls on chips as part of a trade deal. But the second line is the important line. Experts warn dropping restrictions would give Beijing a competitive advantage in AI. You can stop and read this, but you can see here in the second paragraph that Chinese officials have told the experts in Washington they want the Trump administration to relax export restrictions on the high bandwidth memory HBM chips, according to people familiar with the matter. That means to send the H100s, our top chip. And we've had 3 rounds, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, the August 12th deadline for China and the U.S. to reach an agreement has now been extended for 90 days, so a meeting and a grand bargain with Z could come about. In the top of this page is talk about the H20 and how they're now getting them. But the third paragraph is the important one, where China now more worried about the HBM controls because they seriously constrain the ability of Chinese companies to manufacture their own AI chips. The Chinese push has raised alarm bells in Washington because signs that Trump is willing to relax the export controls with Z. But while this 90-day extension is there, as we said in another video, the Commerce Department has been told to freeze any new export controls on China, which some officials are now increasingly concerned after Trump in July reversed his decisions on the ban on H20 sales. So then they go through and they talk about all the people who are against and their reasons for sending H20s and H100s to the Chinese. And they finish off, they tell you where the bottleneck is and so forth. And they say there's concerns in Washington that Trump may relax export controls to get a trade deal, and there's fresh scrutiny on NVIDIA selling gaming chips. Gaming chips are very high-end chips in today's world. So what is this HBM? Well, it's a specific type of computer memory technology that uses 3D stacking or DRAM chips to achieve very high data transfer rates but lower power consumption. And the NVIDIA H100 is a GPU, graphics processing unit, and they're the ones that have HBM embedded in them. So HBM chips are high bandwidth stacked memory modules, and the NVIDIA H100 is the GPU that uses the HBM chips, but is not an HBM chip itself. Now, HBM chips don't really require rare earth minerals to manufacture at all, okay? They're basically silicon. You read here, it explains how they're made, blah, 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 blah. Here's the issue for us. The machines used to manufacture HBM chips do involve rare earth minerals. And they list all the rare earth minerals and all the processes that we need them to manufacture the H100 chips with HBM embedded, okay? So they summarize here saying that, we need the rare earth minerals for the machines, but the last sentence is the one that we should pay attention. It highlights the strategic importance of rare earth elements in supporting the semiconductor industry and cutting-edge manufacturing capabilities, all right? So here we are. We started this thing with China, and we believed at the time, I imagine, that we held all the cards. And now we find out we don't. And not only don't we hold the cards, we have a major problem on our hands. We literally need China to agree to send us rare earth minerals without any restrictions so that we can allocate them to our defense industry. Does our car industry, does our solar industry, does our circuit board industry, does everything that we do in the modern world need rare earth minerals? Absolutely, okay? But our defense industry really, really needs this stuff. So here you are, you're Trump. You started this war, and now all of a sudden you find that basically you can crash the entire US economy by just saying to China, we're not going to send you these chips. So what I think is going to happen in this grand bargain, as I've said before, it'll be 5 years long, and it'll probably have a 2-year, extension if one side decides to do that. And I believe, okay, and we'll find out, that we're going to send them the H100s, and we're going to send them with HBM, and we're going to lower the tariffs to almost nothing, all right? They're 30% right now. Do you realize that? So imagine we're taking Switzerland at 39% and China at 30%, and it's going to go to zero, I believe. So before you start a war, you should actually look at your cards and make sure that the other side isn't holding two aces in the hole.